Hi, welcome to another video from Of Dice and Men. I'm Jeremiah, and today we're going to be talking about non-player characters, otherwise known as NPCs. So, NPCs are an integral part of any campaign. Otherwise, your players are going to be walking around in a world where there's no one but them in it, and that can be a little boring at times. So, I've got a few steps to helping you create NPCs that will help fill the world and give it more flavour, make it feel alive. Question: what is an NPC? Well, the answer? A work of art waiting to be destroyed. Step 1. You need to decide who this NPC is. What's their name? Where do they live? What do they do? That sort of thing. Give them a bit of background as to why they are where they are. This isn't overly complex stuff, but it's kind of important. Step 2. Personality. You need to work out whether they're strict, harsh, kind, friendly, soft, mild-mannered, whatever they are, you need to work it out. Now, the personality is sort of like the glue that holds the NPC together. It holds their character, their personality in place so you can put them on the board as a character, not just a name on some paper. Now, this is very important. Create a wide spread of personalities. You don't want 15 people in this town being known as the grumpy old dwarf that dislikes elves. You want to mix it up a bit. Throw some extras in there, make something unique. Even things like insanity can be quite fun to play. Or is that just me? Something simple, like a nervous tick, or something that they do whenever something happens. So in response to someone asking them a question, maybe they've got a key word or a phrase they repeat out of habit each time. Something like that. Step 3. Motivation. What drives this character? Why do they do what they do? Now, this is incredibly important for villains, enemies, NPCs that you want to take critical part in your campaigns. They need strong motivations. If their motivations are flimsy and scattered with holes, then they're not going to be believable. They're not going to become the threat you want them to be, or the assistance that they want. Maybe the players will even begin to suspect them of things that aren't really them. That can cause issues. Or plot points. It really depends on how you spin. The tyrant of this town. What's his motivation? Is he simply after money? Does he want power? Does he want women? Does he want magical items? Does he want men? Who knows? It could be anything you can think of. As long as it makes sense for his character, it's fine. Who knows? Maybe he heard rumors of a powerful artifact that just so happens to look similar to something the party's carrying. Things like this can spark adventures, campaigns, memorable moments from simple misunderstandings. Confusing the players for someone else important is a great way to put them in that world and get them to react to things. Get them to find out why people are treating them like this. They might not find out straight away, and that's probably for the best. Give them that motivation to look into it. Players need it just as much as NPCs do. Step 4. Their role. What role are they going to play? What piece are they in this game of chess, Dungeons and Dragons, whatever you're playing? The role of your NPCs is important to decide before you begin creating them. Of course, you can always do it afterwards, with in-game other things, improvise on the moment. That humble blacksmith may become something more later on. But when you're first designing them, you want to design them with a purpose. What is that purpose that you want to have them in there for initially? Things can change. Things will change. But what you key them in as to begin with will set them down on what kind of path they're likely to be discovered as or act as while around the party initially. Step 5. Appearance. How do they look? What separates them from your average villager? You need to be able to describe their style, their appearance, in such a way that anchors them in your players' minds. Now, this doesn't always have to be simply verbal. You can describe it through images. You could even find a picture that looks similar and say, looks like this, or this is them, or it looks like this but with this instead, or imagine such and such but with these changes. It doesn't have to be perfect. It has to give them a solid idea of who they're dealing with. Now, each player will undoubtedly form a different mental image of exactly what they look like. But if you are artistically talented, unlike me, you can actually draw up your NPCs, draw up your characters, and then show them. And that way you do not have to visibly describe how they look. You can simply point and show. An exact image replica will undoubtedly do a better job than a verbal description. But that depends on whether or not you can do it, you want to do it, or whether you want to leave it up to your players' imaginations as to how this NPC appears. There's no right or wrong way. That's just the way that you choose to do. Step 6. How you act them out. Putting on an accent, or even just having a slight nervous tick when you're talking, or something to fiddle with can help. Or are they Irish? Do they put on an accent when they speak? Or do they simply fiddle around with something in their fingers? Bit of a nervous tick sometimes. Anything can work. You can put something so simple as a want to fiddle, tapping on the table, a nervous jitter, a stutter, anything. Any of these little things you put in while you're acting them out will help cement them. It will help your players recognize them. It may even get to the point that you don't have to introduce them. You don't have to describe them. You can have the players in a cave or something and they hear a familiar accent. Or they're talking to someone who's in a disguise and that someone's got the same nervous tick, tapping the table, twitching, the same nervous twitch in their eye. Maybe every time they blink, they only blink one eye first. Maybe they twitch whenever a certain phrase is mentioned, or they take a deep breath before starting large sentences. All of these are valid and will be effective. You don't need to use them, but you can. You can combine them, do whatever you want. This is your world, their story. What's in here needs to get to them. And with a bit of practice, it will. Trust me, it takes some time. And even when you're running NPCs can be different for different players. So, if you've got a group of kids, say for example, between the ages of 6 and 10, then your NPCs should be a lot more overacted. Maybe throw a bit more comedy in there or things like that. As opposed to if you're running for a bunch of serious role players that aren't really into slapstick. They may be more serious, maybe even darker threats or themes. Having lost an ear, something like that. These are just some steps that I use. There are obviously plenty of other ways you can go about it, but this is a nice simple way to follow to creating an NPC. This is not the end-all and be-all. Your NPCs will continue to grow as you play them, as your players interact with them, and as the story adapts. You can even change them to fit, or to create new roles, or to even create new NPCs. You can have your town blacksmith actually not have been a blacksmith this whole time. Maybe he was a past adventurer who founded a large section of the world, or maybe you've got a retired player character somewhere and they've set up something, but they didn't want their real identity to be exposed, or maybe they're hiding from someone. The party could encounter these as they go along, and for the sake of the story, some NPCs can always die, perish, or turn against them. or vice versa. All in good fun. Anyway, that's been me today, and I hope this helped. Once again, if you'd like to hear of anything in particular, please comment below. I'll check it out, and starting in the new year, I'll be getting the next video up. Now, I do hope for this one to be up before New Year's Eve. Well, New Year's. But time constraints and tech issues may stop that. Either way, Happy New Year to everyone who's watching, and everyone who isn't, even if they don't watch. And I'll see you guys soon.